Hello YouTube, this is Michael Parker. I am a 27-year beekeeper and I've been using this method to capture swarms for at least 15 years. I'm not sure exactly how long, but I got the basic idea for a swarm trap out of a blue sky many years ago after having a lot of bad luck with winter. And so with this system, you can catch bees for next to nothing. You still have to pay for screws and for gasoline to get from place to place. But I get all the wood that I use, I get from dumpsters. In fact, here's a lot of it that I pulled the other day and just a couple runs to some construction sites. I go in the dumpsters. I like to go on Sunday morning when there's no one in the way. Um, so I can easily get in and out because otherwise there's cars everywhere and it's just a lot easier that way. So anyhow, here's one of the basic designs I use, except the holes usually are more in the middle. I was feeling creative, I guess. So the way I build these, I will use a standard Lang box. This one's seen better days, but I'll use that to set the width and then the height of what will become the broad side of the swarm trap. And so this is set right now for, if you set the gate here the way it is now, you'll get the width of the first board, and then you just let's see, switch it over like so to get the height of it. And so you end up with a board basically like this, where you've got the width and the height, and that's the same as this board on here. So after that's done, you can figure out the other side by just you can line up 5 frames inside, you could stack 5 frames up, I guess, and kind of figure out what the width is of that, add a little bit of extra, and you'll get the width of the narrow sides, and then the height will be the same as the height of the broad side. So then after that's done, then you can use the box that you have itself to set the saw for the top and the bottom board. And then I use screws to put them together. And then the back board you can make fairly easily. There's not any real dimensions that I have for the backboard. I mean, I just kind of guess. But I want it long enough to go down probably pretty close to the bottom. Usually, here's another one. But yeah, I want it to go down pretty close to the bottom for stability. And then on this one I use, I had a nice drill bit to be able to cut a hole with for this. And so that's basically how you build them. And once you have them built, I usually use 2 frames inside. So I'll have my frame with the old comb, which is ideal, but if you don't have that, you can still get bees without it. And then I'll have an empty next to that with no foundation. That way it gives the bees time or something to keep them busy building comb while you're checking your various swarm traps. And I try to have at least 50 out lately. I've had as many as 125 out before and caught over 30 swarms off that. So after you build it, I'll do another video talking about placement and also about scenting. I mean, I think everyone knows use lemongrass oil. But yeah, and an alternate way to build them is just to build 2 5-frame newt boxes out of the cheap wood, and then I put like what I call a band-aid from when I worked concrete briefly. I use just a piece of wood to screw both together. I do that on both sides to keep it all attached. And then I put a backboard on, and I use screws so that it's easier to take the top off after you've caught something, so you're not trying to pry nails apart and getting the bees kind of riled up. And that's basic design, and the reason I use such cheap wood, which it lasts more years than you would think, but the reason I use the cheap wood is, for one, I can get it for free, and that way when I'm placing these, occasionally I come back and one's on the ground. Sometimes that's just because it fell off, the wind blew it off or whatever, or maybe the branch broke that it was on. But other times someone will knock it to the ground and break it open. But if I'm using cheap wood, then maybe I'm out a frame or two, or although a lot of times I can salvage the frames, but it's not as big of a loss when you just basically you lose out on some time and effort, but you haven't lost out on a lot of money when you use the free wood out of the dumpsters. So yeah, so this is the basics on how to build one. Like I said, I'll do another video on the different ways I scent them, which I think is the big key on how I have a lot of success. I'm in Utah, and I've been in the Bait Hive Challenge on Facebook for many years, and I've won every year except for 2 out of over 10 years of doing the Bait Hive Challenge. So I've learned a few things doing this. So yeah. So I look forward to seeing you in another video. If you like this, then feel free to like and subscribe. Thank you.